So today is Monday, March 28th, 2022. And I have been dealing, because I work in the business press, dealing with the Oscar slap that was heard around the world. I also dealt with soap Twitter. So after all of that for the last 24 hours, I was able to sit in front of my television on my DVR, press play, and watch When Calls the Heart. I'm James Lott Jr., if you don't know who I am. And this is the When Calls the Heart after show. But it's not our usual after show. As you know, this season, Marissa and I have complicated schedules. So we're not doing our live sit down every Monday at 5 p.m. But what I've been doing in lieu of that, and hello to Marissa sends her love to you guys, I've been giving my opinion, just my reactions to each of the episodes. And you guys have been tuning in. So thank you for watching my videos and listening to my reactions. I just have a couple pages. I was going to tell you my reactions to the episode that happened tonight, which was episode 4 for season 9. And we're going to resume doing some interviews. I have to reach out to some people, get them on the show. But don't worry, and the interviews will be done by Marissa and myself. We do the interviews together, but just these reactions are my reactions. Or in the meantime, to do this. Maybe one day I'll do it live when I get a chance, but so far it's just recorded. But yes, after the last 24 hours of craziness in the entertainment industry, I feel good because I watched a show that kept me calm and relaxed and had lots of stuff going on in it. 2 words come to mind for me when I'm watching this episode: phones and cars. I'm telling you, this season has a whole different feel. It feels like they're furthering along in time. And the fact that Faith got a phone, the infirmary, and then Lucas got Elizabeth a phone, which she wasn't happy with that first, which makes me laugh. Like the commentary on that is not lost on me, because he didn't ask her, but now she's open to it. People are getting phones. So now the whole bringing the phone is happening. It's getting a little more personal. And in cars, there are cars. It's like every episode they've had a situation where 2 characters are walking and almost get hit by a car kind of thing, like a car is going by. Plus, of course, one of the storylines was Nathan's hit and run accident. They finally caught the person who did it, and it was Joseph who caught him. So, but it's all about the car. So my cars and phones, which are 2 things here, like especially here in Los Angeles. I'm like, if I could, I went to dinner the other night and left my phone here in my house. I was with a friend, went to dinner, and I chose not to come home and get my phone. And for about 3 hours, I did not have my phone. You want to tell you something? It felt nice. I thought for me, it was a little weird at first. I kind of panicked at first. But after we calmed down, I actually visited with my friend. Imagine that. We talked. I was looking at my phone. I used to take pictures of my food. Didn't do that. I'm guilty. But I didn't do any of that stuff. We literally visited and talked and had a great time together. We had exchanged some gifts. We had some gifts for each other. And it was a great time, uninterrupted by phone. I know. What's this, 1985? I don't know. So that. And then cars in LA. Well, gas prices, that's another story too. There's a lot going on in the world, you guys. That's why we need When Calls the Heart. So the paper is twice a week. So that's good to know. So Rosemary wants to bring that up for him. And the episode, we get to see a different side of Lucas, which I liked. Him with Jack. And playing with him and being with them. The story is they're literally showing us step by step how Elizabeth and Lucas are growing closer. So she sees him in a different angle, different light. He bonds with Jack, little Jack. It's like really working out. Now, one of the nights he was leaving her house, he got punched in the face. We still know who that was. That was weird, right? We don't even know who that was. We'll talk about it. But he does a great job with him. This Weidman character, of course, it's just like showing up and people just start feeling icky about him. And him and Spurlock, just towards the end, show up. And Lucas gives him a warning. He like, don't, and I'm paraphrasing, of course. He's like, don't mess with my woman or her child. Don't even think about it. Now, he said it differently, but that's what he meant. The message, and they're sitting there smiling. I'm like, oh, they're like, we're not scared of you. So that's not good. But Bill is not having it. He does not want them in this town. He is not having it, and made a phone call to Brookfield. Little When Hope Calls spinoff mention. You know, they didn't show Gabe, Monty Gabe. They didn't show him. We kind of feel they showed him, but they didn't do that. But it's on the network, of course. But they mentioned Brookfield. Apparently, Rosemary has sources, of course she does, in all these different places, including Brookfield. So that wasn't mentioned. It's still in the same universe. It's still there, right? So it's all there. But he's just not happy having him here. Let's see. Henry is continuing he's going to stay. He has decided he's going to stay with them. He's kind of like, no, he's not going to get too involved with stuff, but he's still around. He gives in after reading Elizabeth's book. Apparently, Elizabeth's book is changing everybody's lives. He gives in and lets Faith give him his blood pressure. And I was going to say, that's something that I said on the last show, I understand, especially back then, especially having a person of the opposite sex take care of you as a doctor. And I have family and friends who only like same-sex doctors. They do. I don't care. I've had great female and male doctors, so I don't care. But for some people, it really is a bother for them. And I think back then, remember, females weren't widely known as doctors in many parts of the country, that it would be someone like Henry, it would be a little weird at first. But he came around, which I like that. I love the message they're sending. We love positive messaging on television. I mean, imagine that, right? Originally, Bill was going to only take up half the space. That's Bill Avery for you. God love him. He was going to have a space. It was crazy for me personally seeing Jack Wagner return to The Bold and the Beautiful last week for a special 35th anniversary special on that show. He played his character, Nick Maroney, in his dress whites, and he looked amazing. People in the soap world were so like, oh my goodness, it's Jack Wagner. I wish more, I keep trying to tell soap folks, come watch When It Comes to Heart. Come on, Hardy, come on this direction. Some watch both, but others don't. And I'm just like, wow. And I also have people from When It Comes to Heart go, I didn't know he was on Bold and Beautiful. I'm like, yeah, he's a soap star. He was Frisco on General Hospital. He goes way back. But it was good to see him back in the role, which hasn't played in years. And Jack was great. Jack Wagner was great. And they also showcased his singing. So if you want to watch the Bold and Beautiful episode, it's the special 35th anniversary standalone episode. It's Brooke Logan and her 5 loves, and he was one of them. So just check that out. It's a lot of fun. You go to CBS, Paramount Plus, or CBS.com to watch that. You can see Bill Avery being somebody else. And him and Molly are just kind of teeting around, being friends. And in the end, he decides he was going to give up the space to Hickam, but Hickam got a space next door. So I throw out that. Lee had a problem interviewing Hickam also because he lost him, which I thought was very interesting. All this stuff was male stuff that I totally get. Ego, letting stuff go. Of course, that's what it is. Sure. Molly, meanwhile, is going through what Rosemary went through. She's trying to find her passion and trying to figure that, which I think is really interesting to show women of that time period. And she says she has a daughter and she has friends and she has a great talent, but she's trying to find her passion. And I think it's a fun journey to follow, to see what she decides to do. And it's realistic, right? You're out there going, well, what do I do next? I mean, we can't be all reliant on just a partner or a certain thing. And everybody knows what they want to do. Everybody knows what they want to do. I mean, I understand that. Completely understand that. Then we got the burgeoning couple. I don't know how you guys feel about this out there, of Nathan and May Sue. Now, I like it. I am seeing chemistry, and I'm seeing something there. And at the end, when Faith saw them walk by, I think something's going there too. But at the very end of the episode, Carson calls her. So we don't get to hear the conversation. We hear this Carson, and so I don't know what that means either. But Macy and Nathan are, it's like they're slowly working towards something, but yet we know she has a past. So, but that's a writing thing. Obviously has conflict. But she has him come with Newton, and now Newton and her are kind of back together. Thank God, thank you. Newton's great. Thank you, thank you. But I like them. I do. I like them. I think they're great. Then we have two storylines that, well, no, actually, it's one storyline that's really, and this is interesting for this story to be happening. Cooper is taking center stage. Every season, a kid or two takes center stage. Last year, Allie had a lot of stuff. You know, it's interesting that Allie is not on this season. She's mentioned, but like, where is she? But Cooper is he is working it out. He is not happy. Mr. Landis returns. And it's always the way he says stuff. That's the part that's it's supposed to bug us. That's what bugs me. When she was like, this was like, oh yeah, I went to Hamilton, took the test. I can now have the certification to teach Angela. He's like, that's out, and I'm paraphrasing, of course. That's outside the district. So all that don't mean nothing anymore. Like, hello. I'm like, really? I'm like, that's not nice. First of all, it's not nice. But that's crazy. And Cooper's acting out. Messing up his hat, talking back. But it was funny when during the parent-teacher kind of conference about it, and at the end he runs and Cooper hugs Elizabeth. He says sorry. He's really looking out for his sister. And from the previews for next week, the Canfields are center stage with Mr. Landis. That should be very interesting. But it's interesting that this storyline is really center staging the kid, the son, and how it feels like to have this thing happen where he's not the disabled party or he's not the sight impaired person. He's the other one. And there's always something about that. There's a lot of stories that people talk about when they grow up with someone, a sibling who has a specific thing, and they're the other one on the other side of it. And it's a whole other world. And anything out there have been through this, I'm sure you understand. Like if someone is on an autism spectrum or someone is disabled or has Down, so it's usually the sibling that takes a protective stance. It's very common. And it feels that. And so Cooper is acting out, and Joseph is frustrated. Minnie is very much trying to center them together and figure this out. I love they're a team, and I love trying to figure this out. But again, Minnie knows she understands. Like she totally gets it. I mean, he gets it. Joseph gets it too, but she just gets it. Like you can tell it's heavy on her heart too, what they did to Angela. Which I think it adds so many layers. And we're gonna have them on the show. I'm gonna work to get them on the show again, Natasha and Viv and them, because they're so good together. But what is Elizabeth gonna do? That's the other thing too. Like, what is she gonna do? There's all these obstacles, but see that, like I said, the county, the town, everything's growing. Also, everything's growing. So, and also Joseph and Minnie are trying to figure out their stay, what they're going to do in this city. They're both working for others, and Joseph's like, maybe I should ask Lee for first. I'm gonna ask for a raise. Maybe I should ask for a piece of the company. And basically, Clara's gone, so the cafe, she should run it. So I like that they're both they're settled. They like being here. They're settling in, and they want the next steps. I just think it's wonderful. Now that's my reaction to the show. Like I said, it's not the usual me and Marissa going back and forth talking about with you guys, the fans, but I do read the comments. I read some today, so thank you so much. I might do something on that with the comments section. But thank you so much for making the show a nice big hit for me and for Marissa. And thanks to the Hardy's groups online. We appreciate you. We see you. I'm wearing my Ohio Hardy's shirt. I have shirts from different Hardy's places. Now traveling is starting to get I'm starting to get out there again. So hopefully I'll start traveling again like I normally do to see everybody. But it's a big world. We're doing it through Zoom right now, but hopefully in person I'll be out there one day. I will see you again hopefully next week. Another reaction to the next episode. Hearties, thank you. I love you. And I'm James Lott Jr. I'll see you next time.